first speaker is, we have a 5-minute presentation on Zoom with Dr. Bryan Von Herzen of the Climate Foundation. He's working internationally to do marine permaculture arrays with kelp and shellfish to sequester carbon in our oceans and restore the productivity of our ocean ecosystems.
So thank you for the opportunity to talk today. I think it's a great chance to build our collaboration on the climate front. And it's something that's so important in everything that we're aiming to achieve in terms of regenerating a healthy climate. I grew up in Woods Hole, and I'm contacting you now from Maine, where we've just harvested a whole bunch of kelp at a temperature of 8 degrees Celsius. It's a wonderful regenerative environment, if a little bit cold. But we're working in the fields of oceanography and marine sciences, and that's what I grew up with in Woods Hole. During my university years, I worked at the Oceanographic Institution there. And, you know, it's interesting because when I look at the history of the evolution of the field of oceanography, it's been characterized by dwindling resources at the National Science Foundation. That became a rule of the day during the second half of the last century. And I thought that was kind of normal, you know, dwindling research and all the rest. In graduate school out in California, I minored in planetary science at Caltech, and I was looking at the overabundance of carbon in Jupiter's atmosphere, which obviously is now a problem we're all familiar with here on Earth. So I'd like to share with you a key lesson that I've derived from oceanography and from astronomy. These two fields, I think there are crucial insights to be gained from these two fields in our efforts to regenerate a healthy climate. With apologies to Charles Dickens, I may call these two insights a tale of two fields. Now, oceanography has been characterized by a number of leading universities and institutions caught up in somewhat of a rat race, competing against each other for funds at the National Science Foundation. The net result is that only about 1 in 10 proposals gets funded these days, which, let me tell you, is a real chore for a technical member of the staff who's trying to get their research program funded. Imagine writing 10 proposals to get one of them funded. They scrape by in a budget that barely keeps the field running, and it's detrimental to the institutions and to the individuals that make up those institutions, and it's a grim situation for oceanography as a whole. Now, let's contrast to that what I learned in astronomy, and that is every decade since the 1960s, all the astronomers get together for what they call the decadal survey. It's got a rather ominous name, but they develop a consensus on their top 1 or 2 priorities, making the hard decisions within the field for what should get funded. They get together in conferences and workshops, and they brainstorm on the state of their field and where it should go. The result is they have a very clear and unified vision and a detailed list of priorities. When the media or even Congress talks to these astronomers, they hear the same message. The astronomers speak with one voice. In essence, while the oceanographers have been competing amongst themselves and eking out an existence on small budgets, the astronomers got organized, they got together, they out-collaborated them, and so they go straight to Congress and get $3 billion budgets funded, which has been happening. It's basically an order of magnitude more funding. For example, multi-billion-dollar space telescopes, things of that sort. Now, regarding climate restoration, if we take seaweed production as an example, we're already starting from a strong base of a multi-billion-dollar industry in Asia, and it's set to boom globally over the next few years. But for us to meet our target of reversing global warming, getting back down below 350 parts per million, we're going to have to be very ambitious and not only rapidly scaling up existing markets, but creating new markets. And this kind of scaling is going to require clear, consistent vision and a coordinated effort to build hope based on facts that lead to a compelling story. When we meet with funders, they're not left to sort out a dozen competing narratives, but actually get acquainted with a strong network with a unified version and a set of priorities to work on here and now. In many ways, we haven't fully comprehended how challenging siloed thinking can be for us. We've got an opportunity here to really go beyond that and move beyond, let's say, a localized vision to something that truly is a global vision. And that global vision, we can use examples of large-scale collaboration and collective problem solving to really scale things up. And in fact, I like to draw examples from the very ecosystems we've been studying here at the Climate Foundation. And that is, for example, the symphony of life that plays out in a kelp forest. What emerges is a resilient ecosystem and a superorganism, if you will, of that's much more resilient to climate disruption than the more limited organisms that we have today. So I see our opportunity in being effectively organizing our priorities, presenting a united front, co-creating a common vision, and establishing priorities. We need to start building agreements amongst ourselves to create a network. And within this network, stakeholders must have a clear set of roles, understanding of how they contribute to a climate regeneration ecosystem. And that's going to require some bottom-up thinking, some top-down thinking, and collaboration on key challenges. It's this kind of behavior, these choices, that can save the planet and be economically sustainable in the process. Ideally, Amory Lovins likes to say, there's a net positive present value to being green. And I think that's really true. And if we collaborate to build a better future, we can achieve those goals for us, for our planet, our children and our grandchildren, and 8 million species that can't vote and that we share this planet with. We can turn this climate problem into a climate opportunity. I think that our conscious intent to be the restoring force can be one of the fundamental building blocks and building ingredients that can truly save this planet, maybe one of the most important ones. But we have to pull together to make this happen. We need to be one coordinated force for good. Let's make it happen and happen now. I think it's our challenge and our opportunity to outcompete the competition. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Damien.
Thank you so much, Bryan.